clean that later. Why don't we just go through this whole thing and get another new one?
You see? One by one.
Hopefully we can find those.
Want something else but this.
Finish cycle. Okay. From here, we cut the wicks manually by turning this handle. Cuts off the wicks in the bottom. Once the wicks have been cut off, you can lift them up. Okay. You take it all the way back. I'm not going to be able to get it all the way back. These should be cut off. We didn't cut them off for purposes. Then you can unload the when the machine is empty, we close it up, lock it.
The water is important.
Yeah. On this machine we have a hot water tank pump system. We open the hot water tank.
Show them that tank.
We open the hot water valve to bring hot water in to warm the bed in here. When the bed is full of hot water, you can see it come out through here. Once the machine is warm, we pour hot wax in here, flood the bed, then we start the cooling process. We open up this valve to let the hot water out, and this valve to let cold water in. The hot water is pumped back up to our holding tanks so that we don't cost too much energy to run the machine. And whatever is left over afterwards goes back down the drain and out through the drain system. When the table is full again, then you have to wait about 45 minutes for the wax to solidify on the top. Once the wax is solidified, we can cut the wick again, open the machine, send the scraper forward and backward, send it forward to scrape it off, bring it backward, then you can take off the scrap wax. Then you go through the whole process again. We reuse, we melt it back in our tanks and then put it back in the machines again afterwards. So, I don't know what else.
Wax that has been, the wicks have been cut originally, and then the wax has been scraped, so this can be reused back into the your melting tank for more candles. Just need a screen to filter out the wicks, so everything can be used.
I don't know what to tell them.
Tell him the situation. The machine is off power and that's it. That's why we cannot...
Power supply for this machine has been relocated to another machine, so we can't physically operate the machine for you.
Okay.
Every piston is kept here. I discussed this with you on the phone. I said they were 8 inches by 2 inches, so you have to make sure that every spool here is adequate enough to continually support the new candles that you're making. And then when it gets low, you just replace it and you feed it back up through the piston, and there are wires that pull it back up, and we can supply those wires also. Important thing about these machines is to have your wax formula. Your wax formula will really determine how your candle burns effectively. So you might either have to harden up the wax or soften up the wax. And then also in the processing of the machine, the way it scrapes, you cannot leave it too cold. If it's too cold, it will not scrape evenly. So you always have to make sure that your timing is in condition with the wax and the way the wax is cooling and solidifying. That is a hand feel. You'll know that once you start to run the machine when your wax should be cut. And then you can cut it and you will get good candles. As you can see, they're good candles. And we will supply you some samples. You can burn them.
Before we fill with new hot wax, we lower the pistons. These pistons come down to the bottom where they're stopped here. The machine bed will stop on this post. Piston is lowered all the way down, then the machine is filled with hot wax. When the cooling process is done, then we do the same thing here, only we bring the pistons up. Two safety switches, one for top, one for bottom on your pistons. It's also just another extra safety unit.
Over wrapper, this is what we used to put cellophane over all of our candles. What it does is you place your candle here manually and it overlaps, folds. There's rollers that fold over the material. It automatically seals with the jaws and then cuts. Has two heat guns at the end. Which will shrink the cellophane. Those are the two heat guns, and then it's finished and it comes up through the conveyor at the back. Very simple.
Here, you deposit it down below on another conveyor belt where it goes around the machine, comes up behind the machine, and packaged out at the station over here. The table goes in here where it's packaged.
Manufacturing company's been around for a long time. They build machines like tanks, so they last forever. These machines have not been run for 10 years, but they're in very, very, very good shape. And you can still get all the parts from OMP, and I'm sure they can verify the quality and the workmanship of these machines. And